Hi everyone! I welcome you all to a brand new Next.js tutorial video. So today, we will be looking at the catch-all segments in Next.js. But before we get started, just wanted to remind you all to subscribe to the channel for such tutorials and also give a like if it helps you. So yeah, let's start. Now, we saw previously how to create nested routes in Next.js. So let's say that our chapters and lessons will have almost the same layout. So if that's the case, you might think that why do we need to define multiple pages if we are going to have the same layout anyways? You might think of an approach of having a generic layout wrapper that provides the same layout to both our chapters as well as lessons page. But the question still remains that if we still want to create multiple pages for them, or is there a way if we can create a single page? So this is where the catch-all segments comes into the picture, providing us a way to catch all the URL endpoints that are defined within a particular domain, and eliminating the creation of multiple route pages or folders. So let's first delete the chapters and lessons route folders that we created previously. We actually want to create a single route folder, which can catch all the URLs having this learning base path. So for doing this, we will follow a special syntax and wrap the folder name in square brackets, followed by the spread operator. We can name this folder as slug, which is a common term for URLs. Then we will go ahead and create the corresponding page.tsx file inside the slug folder. Let's call the component as learning home, and this will be the default export as usual. We can render the text learning home as well inside a div. Now, the magic of this slug folder is that it matches any URL that has learning in its path. So let's check this out. We will go and type in learning/chapter and hit enter. You can see the text we rendered in the component. Also, if we change this to learning/lesson and hit enter, you will see the same page rendered. Now, this is the catch-all segments in action, catching all the URL endpoints having the path learning and rendering them under a single page.tsx file. Now, this is amazing for creating documentation sites, which requires different URL segments for organization and SEO, while keeping the same basic layout. So now we want to capture all the params in the URL, so we will go ahead and use params to get hold of the params. We also need to define this as a client-side component to use hooks by specifying useClientDirective. We will console log the params to check what we get. Now, if we go ahead and check the console after inspecting, we will see that we get the value called slug. And inside the slug is an array consisting of the text lesson, which is nothing but the route param after learning. So if we go and type in chapter1/lesson3 and hit enter, you will see we are now getting two things inside our slug. The first one is chapter 1, and the next one is lesson 3. So now we know that all the params will come in order of their occurrences in the URL. So here I have created this logic inside our slugs.page.tsx. We can say that if slug's length is equal to 2, we know that we are reading a lesson. So we can print learning lesson slug of 1 of chapter slug of 0. Similarly, if slug's length is equal to 1, we know that it is a chapter. And if it's more than 2, we are rendering the learning page for all other routes. Now, if we go ahead and type in learning/chapter2/lesson3 and hit enter, you will see the lessons message being shown as learning lesson 3 of chapter 2. Similarly, if I remove that lesson from URL and hit enter, you will now see the chapter message. Let's also try learning/1/2/3 and hit enter. Here you can see that since this route did not match any of the slug logic we defined inside our page, we are getting the fallback learning page. Finally, we are going to look at the optional catch-all segments provided by Next.js. So currently, if I go to /learning, you will notice that we get this learning being rendered on the page. And this is nothing but the learning routes page.tsx that we previously defined in our learning directory. Let's remove this page.tsx and also the Next.js folder since we do not require this anymore. Let's also close the existing build for our next application and start a new fresh server for the routes. And now, after removing, if I go back to the route, you will see that this page does not exist. So you have two options here. Either you can create your own page.tsx for this route like previously, or you can go ahead and wrap the already created slug folder with an extra pair of square brackets. This makes it optional as well. And now if you go back to the route, you'll see that it is rendering the learning page, which is again, nothing but the default fallback message inside our slug's page.tsx. So this is all we need to know about the catch-all segments. I will see you in the next tutorial video. Thanks and bye-bye.